FC Barcelona's financial woes have been discussed all summer long, but they've still managed to go about their business in ways only financial experts can explain. They're currently trying to offload multiple players, and Memphis Depay, someone who they signed only 12 months ago, is among those names. Depay's attracted a lot of interest, with Juventus leading the list of potential suitors. Let's take a closer look at the situation. Starting off, Juventus doesn't want to cover Depay's severance pay. The Catalans are eager to get rid of the striker that they signed only a year ago, after he fell out of favor under the new boss, Xavi. Depay keeps on falling down the pecking order with so many other arrivals, and like most other Barca players, he's on huge wages. So the Catalonian club wants to get rid of him. Juventus remain heavily interested in acquiring the services of the Dutch striker, but his departure from Barcelona isn't straightforward. Thing is, Depay's contract with the club isn't finishing this summer, so the only option Barca has in offloading him is the termination of the contract. Now, this isn't common practice in football, but Barcelona's in a situation that not many clubs find themselves in. As a result of this decision, Depay's holding out for severance pay from the club, and that's well within his rights to do so. But Barca wants nothing to do with that, and wants to make sure that he leaves the club without any pay. Juventus are desperate to get their hands on Memphis, but they're not desperate enough to cover the severance pay, and that means the problem remains unresolved. They want Barca and Depay to sort out their trouble on their own, but if an agreement internally isn't reached, Juventus may change their stance and bend a little to pay what Memphis wants. All this is quite similar to the Frankie de Jong saga, where he was waiting for his pay, but Barcelona refused to pay it, and wanted Chelsea or Manchester United to pay that on top of the transfer fee if they wanted to sign him. Next up, Juventus looking at alternatives. While Juventus may decide to change their approach regarding Depay, they are a serious club, unlike a certain Manchester club, and they're very well run. So the old lady has already drawn up multiple alternatives, just in case a deal doesn't materialize for Depay. Who are these alternatives, you may ask? Not to worry, we'll look at all four in detail. First up, Atalanta's Luis Muriel. Juventus could decide to recruit from within the Serie A if the Depay deal hits a major snag, and one of their targets is the Colombian attacker, Luis Muriel. Playing for Atalanta, Muriel isn't the most prolific of scorers, but he adds a different dimension to the attacking play, and that helps a lot in the sustaining of attacks. He could strike up a lethal partnership with Angel Di Maria and Dusan Vlahovic, and he wouldn't even be under pressure to produce big numbers. Muriel had a fantastic start to his career, and he was considered to be a top talent early on in his career. Things just never took off once he came to Italy, and while he enjoyed his time in Udinese, fans and players felt he could still do more. After a lot of traveling around in Europe, Muriel was signed by Atalanta, and he's been very decent for them. His next goal for the club will be his 50th, and he's played a total of 98 games, averaging a goal every other game. It's hardly a surprise that he's a candidate for Juventus, especially when you consider that he'll be a free agent in less than a year. Atalanta have a decision to make, and while they'd want to keep him, an offer from Juventus might be too tempting to not accept. Next, Bologna's Marco Arnautovic, someone who enjoyed a reputation of being a pretty decent striker in the Premier League. Arnautovic plies his trade in Bologna, Italy. He built a reputation of being a dangerous player during his time in the top flight of English football, and he scored many goals for Stoke City and West Ham United. The Austrian got a big money offer from China, and he decided to make some money late in his career. However, things didn't work out for him there, and it wasn't long before he was back in Europe, when Bologna offered him an escape route. After enjoying a good season in the Serie A, Arnautovic was actually a target for Manchester United this month, but the club decided to push ahead with other signings. Arnautovic scored 14 goals for Bologna, and that's mainly why Juventus will be looking at him very keenly. His contract with Bologna runs until the summer of 2024, so Juventus may have to pay a bit of extra money to secure his signing if they decide to go for him. Then, Manchester United's Anthony Martial. This would probably be the biggest blockbuster signing that Juventus can pull off among all their current targets. Martial may not have reached the highs that were expected of him when he joined Manchester United, but he's still a fantastic player, and he's got a lot of years left in him. The Serie A remains a happy hunting ground for strikers coming from the Italian league, so it could be an attractive move for Martial too. Of course, they'll have to part with more money compared to the other two signings, but they'll be signing a top-class player in Martial. He enjoyed a superb preseason with United before getting injured and would have been the #1 option for the number 9 spot if not for his injury. Only 26, Martial could easily revive his career with Juventus and would offer them a different option in attack. Lastly, Marseille's Arkadiusz MILIK. Another ambitious target for Juventus is Marseille's striker, Arkadiusz MILIK. The coaching staff at Juventus would be quite familiar with MILIK's skill set, having seen him play in the Serie A, and he definitely impressed them because he remains a target for them this summer. MILIK's still only 28, and he's contracted to the French club for another 3 years, so it'll take some serious money to convince Marseille to sell. In terms of style, MILIK's very much like Vlahovic, so he could be a like-to-like backup for him. He didn't enjoy the most prolific of seasons in the Ligue 1, having scored a total of 7 goals from 23 games. In other news, starting with Juventus' win over Sassuolo. Juventus started their Serie A campaign at the Juventus Stadium against Sassuolo, and they did it in style. In what was a clinical performance, Juventus started the night well and were up 1-0 thanks to a superb goal from debutant Angel Di Maria. It wasn't long before they added a second, as Vlahovic converted from the penalty spot, and the Turin side was firmly in control of proceedings by halftime, leading Sassuolo 2-0. As soon as the sides were back for the second half, Sassuolo looked good, but just couldn't convert any of the chances they created. Di Maria for the home side was causing a lot of problems for the opposition and almost scored his second of the game, but was unlucky. He set up the third as the Argentinian found the perfect pass, with the Serbian striker steering it home at the back post. Next, Juventus interested in Paredes. The injury woes for Juventus keep on piling up, and they're looking to reinforce their midfield. A signing in the midfield would require the club to move on one of their one-to-way midfielders, but a surprising name has joined the transfer list, if reports are to be believed. As per Tuttosport, Artur Melo and Adrien Rabiot were the players that the old lady wanted to sell to finance a move for Leandro Paredes from PSG. But with their deals falling through, they've decided to cash in on Denis Zakaria. The defensive midfielder joined the club only in January after making a switch from Borussia Mönchengladbach. But as per the report, Roma and Borussia Dortmund are interested in offering Zakaria a landing spot. His career at Juventus never really took off, and he couldn't do what Juventus wanted him to do, take some burden off Manuel Locatelli. The Italian club feels that Paredes fits the side like a glove, and they're willing to sacrifice a new signing to make it happen. Lastly, Barcelona's Koundé problem. Barcelona's financial situation has been quite problematic all summer long. We've seen it with the Frankie saga and the Memphis issue, but now they're finding it hard to register their signing, Jules Koundé. The Catalonian club registered 4 of their other new signings the night before the season opener, but Koundé is set to miss both the first 2 games of the La Liga campaign for his new club because of a failure to register him. Some rumors have even revealed that Barca may have to sell him, but the latest from the club indicates that they need to sell to register the former Sevilla center back. Can you imagine the embarrassment if Barca had to sell him this very summer? That's a wrap for this video. Should Juventus go all out for Memphis Depay, or are there alternative options better? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.